Live? Now we're live. Okay.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar.
This is Nature and Nurture,
Yeah.
otherwise known as Kendra and Hal.
Kendra and Hal.
Coming to you live from Bologna.
Ooh, I'm going to create a new.
Say hello if you're with us.
Yeah,
Introduce yourself.
exactly. I'm going to create a little thing. Welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is. No, I still can't do this properly. This is the thing. YouTube stars know exactly where to point. No, that way. Okay.
It's opposite. Damn it, I did it wrong. It's opposite.
It's confusing. My name is Hal, and I am from the UK, from near to London, and I live in Bologna, and I teach English, and that's about it. What's our question?
I'm going to show you now. Dun, dun.
Okay. Who do you take after in your family?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's difficult. Hey guys, hi again,
Hi,
Sole.
Gianluca.
Yeah,
Hi, Sole.
Sole, I was just telling Kendra about the poem you sent in the last session. Hey Gianluca. Hi. Who do you take after in your family? I guess maybe. Okay, I'm just gonna my mum a bit.
Okay.
She's very sociable.
Chiara.
She has very chatty and sociable, and sometimes I feel that way, but not always.
Okay. And Soleil's asking me if I liked it. The poem, I didn't see
haven't
it.
sent it yet. I could have just read it. It's true. It's not very long.
You could read it.
Yeah. I'm sure she will.
Yeah, he can send it to me later or read it to me later.
Who do you take after in your family? So we should explain, right? To take after. So I said, I take after my mum a bit because she's quite sociable and chatty, and I can be too. So to take after means to be similar to them, no? To have similar characteristics to them. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be personality or appearance. Also.
Yeah, both. That's true.
Yeah.
So that's me. Hi guys.
And Valeria, hello, welcome. Yeah, I think for me, for a lot of people already know me, but I'm Kendra. I'm from Seattle originally. I'm 29 years old, and I've lived and worked in Bologna for almost 2 years now. I work with Hal. Here we go. I got it. Okay. And for me, who do I take after my mom? Yeah. Hands down.
Really? Both physically and also in terms of personality?
Yes and no. Our personality, for sure. I'm a little more, I'm a little more direct and logical than my mom. But personality, we're really, really similar. Okay. As for appearance, we have like this half of our face is really similar. We have like the same mouth. We have a really similar smile. And our expressions are exactly the same.
Okay.
Also, we use our hands a lot too.
Yeah, that's interesting because sometimes you see a photo of someone and maybe they don't take after them in the photo. They don't resemble them that much. But then sometimes you meet someone's parents, and the way they kind of gesture, the way they talk.
Yeah, the way we laugh.
Like, the laugh. Yeah.
The way we laugh is really similar too. I'm wondering, actually, I have a picture and you can see our smiles, how similar they are. One second, let me grab it.
Okay. Everyone, we're gonna be really scared by the similarities between Kendra and her mum here. Sole, cool. I take after my mum's appearance, and I like to talk a lot, and I'm shy and reserved like my dad. Cool.
Mm-hmm. And I like to talk a lot, and I'm shy and reserved like my dad. Wonderful, Sole, perfect. Okay, so this is my mom and I. And our smiles are really similar.
It literally looks like that photo's been flipped, and you have like you put a mirror in the middle.
Yeah, like this
Yeah.
too. We get these same lines, but
Yeah.
our noses and our eyes are not that similar. Also, my mom has blue eyes. Yes, totally, exactly, for real. That smile is exactly the same.
It's identical.
So our smiles, our laughs, a lot of our expressions are exactly the same for me and my mom. Let's see what Gianluca said.
I take after my mum, like appearance and even a bit of personality. Cool. I think we would say, I'm not sure. I take after
For
someone
appearance?
in my appearance.
I take after my mom. I might say for my appearance or for her appearance.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. Normally we just say, I take after my mom because, and then we explain why.
Kiara, yeah, really close to Guildford. Yeah. In fact, my parents live in Woking, which is like 20 minutes from Guildford, half an hour.
You met someone who like knows where you're from, Hal.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Kiara, did you like it? Did you like Guildford? It's quite a strange part of the country, but it's very nice. It's very nice. Yeah. But yeah, super near Guildford. That's cool.
Interesting. Cool. Well, tell us, you guys, who do you take after? Gianluca and Sole have told us. Chiara, who do you take after? Valeria. Ooh, there we go. Oh, also Chiara. Okay. Valeria said, I take after my mother, both for her appearance and also for her personality. Perfect. And Chiara?
I look after my mum, but I take after my mum, but our personalities, plural, because you and your mum, our personalities are completely different.
Plural, S.
Oh, you did that. You did that. That's the first time I've seen that sign, guys.
Ooh, so Chiara?
Really? Yes, I played tennis there. In Woking. Wow. Cool.
So funny.
There we go. And Sole, no, I don't have a YouTube
Sole
channel.
has a question for you.
I don't have a YouTube channel.
Before the school.
No.
Interesting.
As much as I enjoy doing these webinars with you guys, I don't think I would want to be on YouTube for life. It's true, no.
You know, I'm afraid sometimes even to just put my name. Some schools, I'm sure we've noticed this, are saying like the level, the focus, and then with, and then the teacher names. I'm afraid to do that because I don't want people to be able to search me. Yeah, but then they could do my S Kendra and literally find.
Yeah, I don't have any social media, guys, so I like to be invisible. So
yeah.
Here we are.
Just more afraid of like creepy people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Hal, you don't know this story, but someone sent me flowers to the school once who I had never met.
Who you never met?
I had never met.
But how do you know they weren't? Wait, was it anonymous? How do you know they weren't someone that you met?
Put their first name and then their phone number.
Okay.
We searched to see if they were a student, and they were not a student. I had no one by that name on my Facebook or on my Instagram. I have absolutely no idea. But Lisa called them.
Really?
And we found out how he found me, and he felt really bad. And I never heard from him again. But I was really creeped out.
Wow.
Yeah, so they put just their first name.
That's Hey Julia, I'm sorry that happened to you. Yeah, that's horrible. I'm not surprised that you're a bit cautious about stuff.
I was scared because I think what happened. I've said this on another one. I have a Tinder. I think that's something sometimes people do. I think they saw me on Tinder. Then they found me on Facebook and LinkedIn and saw where I worked.
Yeah. Okay. Which sounds like that is a crazy thing to do, and it's really unpleasant. But it's so easy these days, right? It's not actually that difficult. You could do that in 5 minutes, which is not nice.
Yeah, and it's so easy to find a Kendra. in Italy. No one's,
Yeah,
I think I'm the only one.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And Julia, I'm Julia from Genoa, and I live alone. My
My
parents.
parents passed
Oh,
away.
I'm
Julia, if
sorry,
we say,
Julia.
I'm sorry too, if we say, uh, do you take after, who do you take after in your family? It just means who do you resemble, who are you similar to? So even if you're talking about someone who has passed away, you can still say, I take after my mum or my dad, which
Hmm.
means I am similar to them in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's confusing because it's very similar to look after someone, no? To look
Yeah.
after is to care for them, to
Exactly.
make sure they are well. But this just
Hmm.
means to have a similarity. Yeah.
And Soli's really curious about my story. How did it end? You never talked to him. No, I never did. Lisa, our DOS, our director of studies, called him to figure out who he was
Damn right.
because
Good.
I didn't want him to have my phone number.
No, exactly. It's a trap. No, don't worry,
Yeah.
Julia. That's all.
All right. Don't worry, Julia. Phrasal verbs are not easy.
No, they're
So
extremely confusing.
that's why we started with one as a question to get some practice. Yeah. But should we take a look at our focus?
Yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look.
Let's take a look. Nature versus nurture. Dun, dun. Yeah, Chiara, it's normal. Yeah, look
Easy.
after and take after. And Julia takes after her mom. Wonderful.
Nice.
Good job,
Wonderful.
you guys. I think almost all of us said that for the
That's
most part.
true. Yeah, no one wants to take after their dad today.
Everyone takes after their dad. I mean, there are definitely some things I take after my dad for, but I definitely take after my mom more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sister quite often, she says, me and my mum look quite similar. So then my sister every now and then will just go like, oh no, that means she's got it in her head that this means that she looks similar to my dad because I look like my mum, and she does a little bit, but not really. And she's not happy with the idea at all. She kind of freaks out and she goes like, ah, damn, you look like mum and I look like dad. And
I
dad
have
looks
to send you a picture later. There's a
awful.
very funny meme out on the internet of it says when people say you look like your dad, like referring to a girl, and it's I forget the actor, but it's this male actor who's very fit, but he's dressed up as a girl, and he's like,
Right. Exactly.
like how you feel when someone says you look like your dad.
Exactly. That's my
So
sister's
funny.
horror.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hi,
Julia.
Julia. Welcome. So, nature versus nurture. What do we got, Hal? Let's see.
In this focus activity, talking about your upbringing and phrasal verbs for learning.
Yeah. And Michaela, wow, we keep
Hey,
having more
Michaela.
and more people popping in. Hello,
Hey
welcome.
everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining
Yeah.
us.
If you're coming in a little late, feel free to answer the question at the bottom. Okay. Introduce yourself and who do you take after in your family? And just as a reminder, to take after is to have a similar personality or appearance to someone. Normally, your parents. Wink, wink. Okay. So, our first questions, and I have the answers.
Shall I read?
Sure.
Nature versus nurture. What is the nature versus nurture debate? What are the differences between the two schools of thought? And when did this debate first arise?
Yeah. So start answering away in the comments. I have some answers here.
Yeah, nice.
We don't
Especially the
know.
first one. Like, what is it? What are we talking about here? It's quite a famous debate, I guess. Most people have an idea of it. And if
Yeah,
you
most
say
people.
in conversation, nature versus nurture, most people have an understanding of it. But what do you think it is? What do you think it refers to?
Yeah, tell us in the comments. I know this came up a lot when, I forget if I was in high school, I think is when I kind of first heard about this debate. Yeah. And we always would learn about cloning. around this.
Absolutely.
We're getting some questions. Wonderful. So Julia wanted to ask nurture. What does nurture mean?
Hmm.
How would you describe this, Hal?
To nurture something,
Like to care for it.
to care for it. If you think about, it's related, I think, to the word nutrition. So if you nurture something, you give it everything it needs. You care for it. You look after it. You help it grow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all I'm going to say, because otherwise we get into nature versus nurture. To nurture, to care for something, to help it grow. Exactly.
Yeah. Normally, our parents nurture us as children to help us grow into adults.
Right.
Ooh, so yeah, nurture is when you give food to plant something like this to make something grow, or to help something grow. It doesn't always have to be food. It can also just be love.
Love. Yeah. Love.
That's why we say.
Ideally.
Yeah, that's why we say to care for, because to care for is a little more than just food. And Julia answered our question from before. I think I take after both my parents, my mother for her appearance and my father for his personality. That happens. Cool. Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful answer. Great.
Mm-hmm. Antonio, great. Yeah, nurture means to bring up. Yeah, very similar. It's like to help raise or to care for. Not to protect. I wouldn't say to protect.
No, although if you're nurturing something, maybe you are being protective. It's not quite the same thing.
Yeah. Better to think to care for something and to really help it grow, or even to help it develop.
To develop, yeah.
Could be another way. Soli said nature is wild and could be nurtured by humans.
Okay, so maybe the debate, what is the nature versus nurture debate? Is that nature is this wild thing? I think that's it, yeah, and we can nurture it? Nice, okay. Interesting.
Good guess.
Yeah.
Good guess. So I'm going to start writing the answer.
Because it's very long.
Yeah. Well,
and I was saying earlier, I was talking about one of my favorite films called We Need to Talk About Kevin. We Need to Talk About Kevin by Lynne Ramsay, which if you're looking for a good film to watch, it's just incredible. And that's when I first came across this debate, I think, because the film is based on a book, and the book explores this idea of nature versus nurture. And it's the relationship between a mother and her son. I don't want to say anything else because spoilers, but it's a very special film. The book isn't so good, but the film is excellent.
I typed too much.
But you got it there.
I got it here. Sorry, Hal. We can't see Hal anymore. So the nature versus nurture debate. It's a debate. You're making me laugh. Which you're deciding which factors are more important of someone's development. Like what makes us? Is it coming from genetics and like something that's hereditary, which is nature? Or is it coming from the environment and society? There's the end of it, which is nurture. Yeah, society.
Yeah. Julia,
can you repeat the name, Hal, of your movie? I can type it.
The movie is called We Need to Talk About Kevin. We Need to Talk About Kevin. The book's quite famous, but the film is so good, miraculous. Right, so nature versus nurture is this contrast between whether we are defined by our DNA, right, what we are born with, or whether we are defined by what our upbringing is, our environment, things around us.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, am I who I am because of my DNA or because how my parents raised me? That's the debate.
Exactly.
So, and that's the pretty much the difference also of the two schools of thought for number 2. One is more genetics and hereditary, and one is environment in our society. So then the next question, number 3. When did it first happen? Maybe we know, maybe we don't.
I guessed earlier and I got it completely wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any ideas, guys, as to when this debate first arose?
Yeah.
Arise is interesting as well as a verb. Don't use it that often. If you think about the phrasal verb to come up, like if something comes up, then it becomes important, right? It becomes very noticeable. And yeah, arise has the same meaning here, but it's just slightly more formal. Okay? Yeah. But it came into importance, or it came to like a noticeable level. Any guesses?
And always, guys, also, if there's any new vocabulary, always tell us in the comments.
Right.
Ask us in the comments so we can explain. Or if you don't understand something, ask us in the comments. But I think maybe we can give the answer. Maybe it's a question mark.
It's quite difficult.
Yeah. This debate arose after Darwin's research on genetics and evolution, I would say.
Right.
Yeah. So
it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, he changed the thought, the idea that we evolved from monkeys, pretty much. So then it started to evolve even more, the debate, how do we become who we are?
Exactly.
It's an interesting question for sure. But again, any comments, any questions, let us know. We're going to move to our next slide. And I am going to type some questions that we need to answer. But Hal, do you want to read the paragraph while I type away?
Absolutely. So we have a case study, a piece of research, Samoa, the adolescent girl. In 1925, Margaret Mead journeyed to the South Pacific Territory of American Samoa. She sought to discover whether adolescence was a universally traumatic and stressful time due to biological factors, or whether the experience of adolescence depended on one's cultural upbringing. After spending about 9 months observing and interviewing Samoans, as well as administering psychological tests, Mead concluded that adolescence was not a stressful time for girls in Samoa because Samoan cultural patterns were very different from those in the US. Cool.
Great. So again, if there's any new vocabulary, ask us in the comments. Our first question, though, is how did the anthropologist, Margaret Mead, approach the topic of nature versus nurture?
Exactly. I'm just looking at vocab in this. Sought is the past of seek. And in this context, it's kind of, she tried, that's what she went to try and do to discover this thing.
Let me go to, you said seek?
Yeah, seek, sought.
Seek, sought. Yeah, and seek is like to search for.
Right. To administer a test, I guess that's a collocation, or to like administer medicine, or to administer something that helps someone in some way.
It's like to conduct. Yeah,
she conducted them. Yeah, she was in charge of them and she did them.
Yeah, to give but be in charge of giving them.
Right. I think the rest should be good, but guys, right, if you have any other
one. Observing and, oh no, that's how she approached the nature. Okay.
Nice.
She's answering
Great.
all right.
Great.
Yeah, so Chiara said for how did she approach it? She approached it by observing and interviewing. Exactly.
Yeah, perfect.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Also by administering the tests, the psychological tests.
Mhm.
Very good. Awesome, Chiara. Then we have another question.
What
did
did her experiment show?
Yeah. There's always sometimes a lag between us too. So
Yeah, exactly.
So what did her experiments show? What were the results? What were the findings?
I can't believe this was in 1925. It's kind of sad to think. It's kind of sad to think that adolescence was a stressful period for American teenage girls in 1925. And
I can believe it.
And it's, I mean, I can believe it as well, but it's just, I would say it still is, right?
Yeah,
And in 100 years,
It's still stressful.
it's still stressful.
I think just adolescence is always stressful because like
So you and Margaret Mead could have a conversation about that, I guess.
you could, yeah.
But why do you think it's always
But
stressful?
not in Samoa. Okay, so maybe but in Samoa it wasn't, which is interesting. I think it's stressful because like physically at that period in our times, all of the hormonal changes and the development that's happening in our brains is very different from other times in our lives.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, I would think adolescence is stressful for anyone.
That's nurture speaking. Yeah. No, nature.
That's nature speaking.
That's
yeah.
nature speaking.
Good, you guys. Soleil said that adolescence isn't stressful for girls. Also, Valeria said the same thing. Adolescence was not a stressful time for the Samoan girls. So they say, I think to rewatch the exams because it's stressful. Oh, you're remembering the exam.
And it's stressful.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful, Chiara.
Ooh.
That's so nice. That according to your cultural background, causes of stress could be different.
Exactly. Yeah, very good. And Michaela too. Her experiment showed that the experience of adolescence depends. We're going to use a plural S. Depends on cultural context. Good. Wonderful, you guys. Awesome. Okay, one last question. What was more important from this case study?
Yeah.
Was it nature or was it nurture?
Right. From this case study is actually nicer than in, because in is a bit confusing. It makes it sound like in the studying what was more important. But what did the conclusion show, guys? Yeah. What was the conclusion?
Maybe I can edit it. Hold on.
Ooh, can you? And now it's gone.
I know, but it will be back in 1 second.
It's a mystery to me.
Ta-da.
Okay.
We had like a webinar. I watched a webinar trading today, so I learned some more tricks.
Oh, cool. Soleil agrees with you, Kendra.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's stressful for the biological hormones, not for the culture, she thinks. Yeah, I agree too. That's what I think. But thinking of this case study, Soleil, what was more important from this research of Margaret Mead?
It's making me think of that famous experiment where this is more linguistics, but you showed like a kind of a shape, two shapes to people from all over the world. And one of them is called something like Kiki and blah blah. One of them has sharp edges and one of them is round, essentially. It's like a famous linguistic study. And they found that, all over the world, no matter what someone's language is, the sharp edge shape is associated with Kiki much more strongly, and the rounder shape is associated with the blah blah.
Blah blah.
Which makes a lot of sense. It's not blah blah, but I can't remember Kiki and.
But it makes sense though. It's like the sound. Like we're associating sound to shape. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a very good,
Booba.
maybe some of
Booba.
Gooba.
Sorry.
What was it?
Booba.
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 Sounds like Boo Boo from what is it? What TV show is that?
Oh,
Go
Boo Boo.
something bear, the bear,
Yogi Bear.
Yogi Bear, Boo Boo.
Boo.
I love Boo Boo. Okay, so we have another question, guys. We're waiting for those answers. Was nature versus nurture? Was nature or nurture? Whatever. Was nature or nurture more important than this case study? The question's all mixed up. I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh, there's one that talks about how with our senses, we pick up visuals before sound. So if there's an audio, for example, that's saying ba, 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 but if I change what I do with my mouth, but the audio stays the same. So if I say in the first, if it's ba, but the next one it's fa, even if the audio is the same, but just the mouth is changing in the video, we start to hear fa, fa, fa.
Wow, we correct it based on visual.
What we're visually seeing.
Stimulus. Wow.
Yeah, but if you don't watch it, it all is just ba, 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 ba.
That's why they say it's good for language learning to watch someone's mouth moving, guys.
Mm-hmm.
To see what people's mouths are doing. It's not that good on a YouTube video, obviously, but yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
Our answers aren't coming in, but maybe because everyone...
I think we get it, right? I think
it's
you guys know.
Nurture. In this case study, nurture was more important. The cultural input, the cultural experiences the girls were having were more important and it was affecting their adolescence. I think we get it, so we can move on. We got some complicated questions today. Okay, so I hope you guys are prepared.
Yeah.
This is definitely a 10 to 13.
It's 10 to 13. It's not really a Friday night. It's not an easy one for a Friday night.
This is not an easy one. Yeah. The higher we go in our levels, the more complicated conversations we have.
This is true.
It's normal, even though this isn't something I regularly discuss with my friends.
No, really?
No.
Oh,
here they come in.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michele said nurture. That's the other problem. There's another experiment where if you take a word, but you keep the first and the last letter the same, and you scramble the letters, you mix up the letters, you can still read the word.
Yes, I know that one.
So sometimes
nurture is quite difficult. Yeah.
Because they look similar, and we register very fast what the word is.
Right.
Hey, nurture. I will say it again. Was more important. Good,
great, thank you. And I think that in this case study, nurture is more important, but don't ask why. It's too difficult to write. That's the other thing. Sometimes we don't want to write. I know.
Hard to explain. It's good to try, though. I know it's hard, Chiara, but sometimes it's good to try. Force yourself, because you might surprise yourself.
Yeah, writing at speed. That's what we're practicing.
Mm-hmm. But let's look at this one. Do you want to take turns?
Sure.
Okay.
Are you going first? Or am I going first?
Different cultures. How can we rationalize similarities between seemingly opposite cultures? What are some examples?
Okay. Why is this debate important to modern science? What would the implications be if one side has a greater effect on who we are than the other?
Is an imaginary world without differences feasible? We have some big words today.
Yeah.
Surprise in a bad way, Chiara said.
No. I don't believe you.
I know that personally, when I have to speak Italian, sometimes I come to a point where there's something I need to explain that seems difficult. But sometimes if I take time, just take my time, I can sometimes say it and I surprise myself. but I'm sure your English is better than my Italian. So just saying. Anyways.
I think nurture was more important as Mead realized that Samoan girls behave differently from US girls, probably due to their culture and how they were brought up. Valeria, perfect, lovely. I almost read that as behave differently from us girls,
That's
but
right.
I understand that you mean US girls. Great.
You corrected it, and I was thinking us girls. What?
Us girls, us girls. Okay.
Yeah. Be careful when we say US. We need to normally put it in big capital letters, so we know
Right.
it's the country. Otherwise, that looks like us,
Mhm.
the subject, or we.
Exactly.
We. Okay. So, how can we rationalize similarities between seemingly opposite cultures? A different way to say this question: when there are two cultures that are extremely different, but they seem very different, we'll say this, they seem different, but they actually are very similar. How do we explain that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when there are things that once you look closely, there are some fundamental things that are shared across lots of very different cultures.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Can you think of any cultures that seem opposite but aren't opposite?
Me?
Yeah. I have one.
Well, I can think of an example, like a specific example, which I guess does come into this debate a bit, which is, it's quite a horrible example, but cannibalism across almost all cultures, it's taboo, it's not acceptable, right? And that would
Yeah.
probably be an example of nature, as in we have evolved for there to be a huge taboo on the idea of eating humans. No?
Interesting. Okay.
Because no
No,
matter where you can go all over the world. I mean that okay, there are some recorded cases of very remote tribes, but you can in general you can travel anywhere and most cultures, no matter how different they are, have this taboo. It's quite an extreme example. But, yeah, taboo.
Explain taboo.
Yeah,
Like
something that is
fundamentally wrong, like extremely wrong.
unacceptable in a society, and also often how would we say it? Like you can't discuss it either. Sometimes it has that meaning as well. So it's something that's fundamentally wrong and is not available for discussion.
Yeah. So like an example is cannibalism, incest is normally a really big one.
That's another example, yeah.
If people don't know maybe to explain cannibalism, such interesting topics. Is when humans eat humans. Cannibalism, when you eat your own kind. But incest is when you have sex with someone in your family.
And both of these are taboo?
These are taboo. Like they're really unacceptable topics. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's used in Italian. Awesome. I can stop talking about it. So it makes me uncomfortable. Also, Trump. Yes, bravo. He's taboo.
Or he breaks taboos, or he claims that he breaks. He's like, I'm breaking political taboos. Anyway, seemingly opposite cultures, Chiara, means like apparently opposite cultures. So they appear to be opposite, but they are not actually. So if you use seemingly in this way as an adverb, you mean it looks as if, it looks like they are opposite, but they are not. Okay, just superficially opposite. Okay.
We'll say it looks as if for seemingly. Right. I personally like to compare Italian and Indian culture.
That's quite fun. Cool.
Yeah. So seemingly, if we look at them from the outside, they're extremely different. They have very different religions. They eat very different food. Also, like social class is also a very different thing. but they have a lot of similarities when it comes to family and just eating in general, in the sense like they were always encouraging people to eat more, like Italian families, Indian families, they always want you to eat more. They're always willing to give you more food.
Right.
And family is like extremely important.
Yeah, and also like a meal in a family is like an event, no? Like a shared thing.
Yeah.
You're all kind of in together.
There's also like a lot of how do I say this? I've noticed in Italy and in India, they like to kind of discuss what's happening in the family. Like you don't have many secrets.
Right. Yeah.
And that's also the same. So it's interesting to compare these two, because then how do you explain?
Yeah. How do you rationalize that?
They're in completely different places in the world, different environment, different I don't want to say weather, landscape.
Yeah.
But
do you have an answer?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't. I would think nature, like something with nature affected the importance of family and staying with your family.
Right.
But the food thing, I can't explain. That one's interesting. Anna Maria said, I think that we are all similar when we suffer the loss. So I'm going to put we are all, and the loss of a baby, for instance, the pain that moms feel. Yeah.
In fact, there is an essay by someone, I've forgotten their name, where they're talking about how often sad things and kind of tragic things are often shared across cultures, like our ideas of like mourning and grief and stuff. Whereas comedy, like jokes, are often incredibly culturally specific. You know?
Interesting.
Like a sense of humor is quite hard sometimes to translate, but translating feelings of grief
sadness
and loss.
Yeah.
I can't remember where that's from, but yeah. Solly, you disagree? No, it's not true. In that maybe we actually do experience sadness and suffer in different ways across cultures, possibly. I don't know.
I'm wondering if the "it's not true" was about India and Italy, or
maybe there's a delay.
Yeah, sometimes we miss that.
It's true,
but I'm not sure. Chiara, yeah, I think we're all similar in basic needs. Yes, exactly. The need for food, the need for sleep, the need to reproduce. Normally, these are our basic. They're like the fight or flight needs.
And love.
Yeah. And love. Yep. Those all fall under nature, I would say. Oh, she thinks it's not true that we suffer in a similar way. Okay.
But do you mean we don't express it in a similar way, or obviously we
don't feel it.
We don't feel it. Yeah, I'm really interested. Should we talk about the word feasible?
Yeah.
Very peculiar. Is an imaginary world without difference feasible? Yeah, because it's in the last.
Sorry, I'm reading more comments. Chiara said also for important, I think, feelings, but the way we live it is different. We're going to switch those. The way we live it, or the way we experience it, maybe even express it. You want to say, Chiara? Yeah, there we go. Soli's kind of saying the same thing. Some people don't feel anything or don't show it.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, some people express how they feel in a different way. But yeah.
Julia says something similar to what you were describing. I think all human beings, their instincts are the same. So in dangerous situations, for example, they come up. Yeah, exactly. Fight or flight. Like when we're instincts, great. Yeah, when we're kind of put back
the fight or flight.
Yeah, the things
they're more of the animal instincts that are still in us. We have evolved, but we still have our basic survival instincts, as we might want to say. Oh, Julia. Yeah, I agree with Anna Maria. In fact, nowadays, the sufferance for coronavirus is something that makes us more united. Yeah, it's something we're all experiencing.
We would probably just say suffering. The word sufferance does exist, but it's very like theological and formal, no? So it's just suffering. Suffering.
Yeah, the suffering, or nowadays suffering for coronavirus, exactly. True, Sole. Yeah, in some cultures, death, just death is a good thing and they celebrate it. Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, I'm sure there are some cultural differences.
Big differences, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But I still wonder though, like, yes, they might be celebrating it. Like I think in Thailand, they have like really exciting celebrations when someone dies. But I still wonder if people might feel some grief.
Yeah.
If they still might feel some sadness, even though they're celebrating the passing of someone. Who knows? Ooh, we're having a lot of comments now. I love it. Michaela.
Yeah, this is great, guys. I think that there are common traits, nice traits, perfect, but is different the way in which we communicate and express these. Cool.
We're going to switch that though.
But
the way in which we communicate and express these is different.
Yeah, the way in which.
I know that sentence is kind of, I know that's a very Italian way to say that. It is different the way. But in English, the way in which we communicate and express these is now the subject. The way is different. So we always have to have the subject first in English. Different way.
I guess if you really wanted to keep the difference in focus, you could use the difference as a noun, and you could say, but the difference is in the way in which we communicate and express these.
Also that. Yeah.
If you wanted to.
Yeah, that's also possible.
Yeah.
And Julia, in these days, for example, people all over the world are behaving the same. Yeah, some worse though than others. Just saying.
Who are you thinking of?
Americans.
Oh, really? But I feel as if, yeah.
I'm very embarrassed of my fellow Americans.
I'm embarrassed about the UK as well.
Well, people are like, they're going into this like mindset of only thinking about themselves. So, for example, in Italy, like the first maybe week, there were some issues with the grocery stores and not having pasta, not having meat, like certain food was gone. Like everyone bought the food. But I feel now when you go, it's not that bad.
It's fine. Yeah. Mine's fine.
In the United States, for the last like 2 weeks, there's been a really big problem for toilet paper, especially.
Yeah. Also in the UK.
Yeah. People are fighting at stores.
Yeah.
Stores are now putting a limit. You may only buy so much. Everyone's only thinking about themselves, and it's creating more panic. So then more people feel that they need to buy extra, and it's just bad. It
won't do. No good. It's embarrassing. But I feel similarly about the UK. I don't know if that helps you feel better about the US, but it's true. Yeah.
It's strange.
Is an imaginary world without differences feasible? Feasible.
You want to talk about feasible? We skipped the second one though.
I do, but we don't have time now.
Oh my goodness, it's already 7:49, you guys.
Yeah, it's called stockpiling, Anna Maria, sorry. Exactly.
Yeah, stockpiling.
Also panic buying, when people are buying the thing in panic buying, and they are stockpiling food at home when you keep lots of the same thing.
Yeah. So like we aren't united.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, not so much. I think people in Italy are fairly united right now, actually.
Yeah, I think it's incredible here. It's incredible. Like Nutella biscuits, yeah, that's the first thing. Yeah. Feasible,
That's so funny.
possible. It's fine. Feasible, possible. Just it's a bit more
Get
complicated
to it.
than that. Yeah.
Well, I'm
Uh,
sure you did too, Hal. I really enjoyed talking to you all
so
about this.
interesting. Yeah, me too. Thank you, guys. Brightens up my evening.
Yeah,
Uh,
good conversation.
yeah.
But always remember we have the SOS English Facebook page with my
Mhm.
S. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask on the page. There will be one more 10 to 13 webinar in 10 minutes. So feel free to stick around. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a great evening. Good
And a great
dinners.
weekend.
And a
Yeah.
great
Take
weekend.
care, everyone. Bye, bye,
Okay, bye
bye.
guys.